All right, so I am going to be installing a IMS tank onto a 2025 KTM SX 300. This is a 2.8 gallon stock tank. I believe is a 1.9 gallon. So that will definitely give us quite the range. I have no clue what I'm doing when it comes to this install, so we're just going to kind of do it together. I may make some mistakes, there may be some trial and error. I also don't really have any experience with the KTM platform, so I'll be learning a little bit, but yeah, it is should be easy. I watched a couple of videos on it. It doesn't look too complicated, but as we all know, everything looks easy until you're kind of doing it. So yeah, I'll kind of speed through this. I'm just going to get the shrouds taken off, the original tank off, and then we will go from there. Should just pop right off now. I think I got everything out. Okay, so there's going to be a little slider in there that will hold right here on the tank. Doesn't look like, actually it does look like the IMS tank is going to be the same way, but I really like these KTM shrouds. I've always had this on the top, but they added this little piece on the bottom. It just really looks nice. Just well put together. Get this other side popped off. Alright, not too bad. I already like this better than the gas platform due to the whole shroud is like almost one piece, and there's a bunch of clips that you kind of have to tap into place. Never really that fun. But I'm gonna get this tank taken off. It's pretty straightforward. There's just going to be a bolt here in the middle and then a fuel disconnect. Like I said, should be pretty straightforward. If you are looking to install a new tank, you should probably know how to remove the stock one. So I'll just fast forward through that and then get you back at the install. All right, so I'll just show you real quick. Super easy. There's just going to be an 8mm screw right in the middle there. You'll have to disconnect. I believe this is like for the fuel pump. And then here is going to be your gas line. Just follow that down. Here's the gas line disconnect. There's a little silver button right there. You're just going to push that in. Make sure you remember to pop your vent tube off before you try to pull your tank off. And it should just pop right off now. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna just set this on the ground right now. Unfortunately, this tank is completely full. This bike is brand new, straight off the showroom floor. So I'm gonna attempt to pour that in here. without spilling a ton. Straight to the brim too. You know what? I'm gonna do this the right way. Go grab a funnel. All right. All right, so pouring that in did not go well, went everywhere. So I highly advise, if you are doing the tank install and you can have an empty fuel tank, that would be a lot easier. Because honestly, you don't need it fully empty. You kind of just need it to where you can get the fuel pump out, obviously without it overflowing, with it being full to the brim, pretty hard. I just want to do a quick test fit before I get the fuel pump popped in here. So I'm just going to see if there's anything that's kind of in our way. It's fully stocked, so it should just kind of be plug and play, which it looks to be. Cool. Yeah, that seems pretty straightforward. So we'll just get the pump swapped over, and I will show you guys how to do that. All right, so should be pretty easy. Just these 4 6mm bolts right here for the fuel pump. One thing I am a big fan of is this is going to have all brass fittings. Just seems like a little bit higher quality than the traditional wood screw kind of into plastic, you know. One thing I have heard is, you know, over time these fittings may come loose. I guess time will tell on that. So let's just get this swapped over. They should have included new bolts due to it being brass fittings, because these screws are not going to work if I am correct. Yeah, so see how that's going to be just kind of more like a plastic screw. IMS did include a bag of hardware, so I'm sure everything we need will be in there. All right, should just pull right out. Get this popped over. So here's the pump. This is going to be where all of the fuel does absorb. It's just going to be basically like a little sponge. So it's absorbing into there and then obviously sucking through this tube. So we'll just pop that in. Hopefully it's pretty straightforward. Just kind of have to, you are going to have to squish that little foam piece slightly, and then it just drops right in. Cool. Super easy. There was no instruction as to anything on this tank. It literally just came with the tank. So these are what we've got right here as far as hardware. If I had to guess, I would probably say, geez, could either be these ones right here or these ones right here. Let's try those. Yeah, those seem to work perfect. Alrighty. I'm gonna just get some Loctite on these and we'll be back. Alright, so it came with some hardware. It came with, like I said, we now have brass fittings, so all of the kind of plastic wood screws no longer work. I'm guessing these are going to be the 4 screws for the fuel pump. I'm not a huge fan of the fitment of that, so I'm going to put some washers on there. I happen to have 4 washers that fit perfectly, so that's what I'm going to do. And then just to show you, so I saved one to kind of do together, but it's gonna come with this little raised up washer, and then these little kind of button head screws. What that is that is now what your seat is going to slide into. So that's locking the seat in, and then you're going to have the same on your shrouds. So this is what your shroud is now hooking into. So I will just show you how to do that. It's pretty straightforward. Kind of just put the screw in between. I'm running blue Loctite on everything just because these bikes are totally counterbalanced, but it's still a 300 two-stroke, so there could be some vibration involved. Sorry about that. I just pushed the entire table. So yeah, all you're doing is just popping this in there. It's a 3mm Allen key. Some of the fittings I have noticed are super easy, very smooth to put the screw in. Some of them, like that one, was a little bit stiff, and I know I'm not kind of cross-threading it, but some of them are just stiffer than others. Like I said, I'm gonna pop this fuel pump or the 4 screws back off, and then put washers. I'll check back in. Okay, so got the tank on. Sorry, I'm sure people probably wanted to see a complete process of it. The screws that come with this tank are a little bit unique. I truly wasn't a fan of most of the hardware it came with, and actually changed it for my own. So I do have the washers on there now. As you see, I put this 4mm Allen keys with some washers on there, because what it came with for that was like something like this, and just wasn't a fan for that. So 4mm there. I put 6mm threads there because this is going to be, you know, a template basically of all the old bolts. See how they're just all plastic threads. So you will need brass fittings. I highly recommend you have a spare bolt kit if you are going to order this tank. Just because, like I said, what it does come with, I guess, could get you by, but it's not perfect in any way. Everything fit really nice. I guess the only problem I did have was going to be this was a little bit off. I didn't have to drill anything, just really had to push that in. And then I will say putting the shrouds back on are a lot more difficult because these fittings that they came with are a little bit more shallow compared to the stock fittings. So just keep that in mind. But pretty much all that's left is to put the seat on and make sure we can actually fit the seat back on. Oh, one last thing as well. The bolt, the stock bolt, will not fit. You will need to run a longer bolt. So this is actually the stock bolt. This is the length that I did run. So you definitely need a longer stock or a longer bolt. But yeah, I think it looks really good. The reason I went with the black tank is just because it was actually a lot more affordable. Rocky Mountain was running a sale on the black version, so that would be the reasoning I went with this model. Also, if I'm being honest, I think it looks a lot better than the clear. It may not be as functional, but I do feel like it is better. Okay, so see how I just missed that? You do have to put some downward pressure on this seat as you're pushing it back. So now I've got everything in place. Looks like those threads line up. Let's just pop this last bolt on. Overall, I feel like it was a really straightforward install. Like I said, it came with absolutely no directions. So you kind of have to be slightly mechanically inclined, I guess, to do this service, but realistically, it's not that bad. Okay, guess we are not lined up. Let's figure that out real quick. All right, so here's everything all buttoned up. I will say this seat was a huge pain in the butt. It did take me a second to push it forward and line up the screw. Hopefully that kind of breaks in. I'm sure it will. But yeah, that was pretty difficult. So I'll just show you kind of a walk around. Still need to throw that airbox cover on, but it does drop pretty low. Hopefully all the fuel will pop up out of there. Obviously we all know KTM fuel pump, for whatever reason, sits up there. Hopefully it has no problem kind of bouncing up and sucking that all up. But yeah, that's the IMS 2.8 gallon fuel tank installation. Thanks.